Oh, now we all know by now who the most broken, annoying, terrible champions are of 11.22, the last patch of Season 11, but there is one champion who is seriously flying under the radar, and I'm going to encourage you to play her in this video. She got buffed this patch, she is banned nowhere near as much as she once was, and against the right team comp, you can obliterate the competition by locking in AKALI. So before we get into this red hot gameplay, that is the first tip. Make sure you're picking AKALI as a counter pick to pretty much any melee champion you see in the mid lane or top lane, or if the enemy team composition is very short range. This means you can make use of the buff that came into your passive, but if the enemy team composition has a lot of range, they might have a Lux in the mid lane. Picking AKALI probably means you're going to get poked out of lane, and the passive buff you're not going to make use of. And by the way, for all the sick preseason content we have lined up, do you want to miss it? No, right? So hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into the meat of the video. Now we're going to be watching a Korean challenger player with a 60% win rate who is one of the best AKALIs in the world. Now you can see straight away this team composition he's against. There's Camille, there's Karthus, there's Aurelia, there's Kai'Sa, there's Echo support, bit weird, but this is a very short range team comp, so AKALI is going to be really useful just because you're going to be using your passive a lot. But how do we actually play her in the mid lane? Well, this matchup is AKALI against Aurelia. Now Aurelia is strong once she stacks her passive with her Q, so AKALI in the early stages has to be very aware of this, but as soon as Aurelia runs into Q range of AKALI, she is going to Q the Aurelia. Now it's important here, as soon as your Q lands, to run back to collect your passive. You can see AKALI is twirling her blade around her head. This means your next auto attack has more range and also does more damage, so you can use this to pressure the enemy champion when they go for a last hit. But just because, guys, we have to be careful of Aurelia stacking her passive, AKALI backs up a bit and just uses her passive on the CS. This is absolutely fine, but against a weaker level 1 champion, you really want to be harassing them every time they move up. Now this little trade is excellent for AKALI because she's going to Q Aurelia, immediately pick up her passive by running back, and Aurelia after queuing in to last hit this minion, AKALI is in the perfect position to auto attack her for it, and you can see this damage. This is legit, this is the buff passive, but because Aurelia has 2 stacks and also the wave is pushing into AKALI, she's just going to retreat. She does not want to put herself in any danger against a level 2 Aurelia. This is really where you can lose the lane, so just back up, let the wave come into you, and you're not going to lose anything. But AKALI does a really smart thing here, guys, and you can do this against melee champions. You can actually hold up the minion wave outside your tower's range by standing in between these 2 walls. So if I draw a line across here, if you can stand here, the ranged minions on the enemy team are actually going to get held up just outside your tower range. This essentially creates a freeze, and this allows AKALIs to play the lane a lot closer to her tower, and in lower elo, you never know, your jungler might come mid and you might get a kill because of this. Now at this point it's just about last hitting as much as you can, but you can see that AKALI is not using her abilities on the wave because she is saving them for Aurelia. This is huge in the mid lane, and guess what happens when Aurelia does use her abilities? AKALI is going to use her W and E specifically to counter the Aurelia's potential engage, so it makes it impossible for Aurelia to actually jump onto AKALI because she's using her abilities for the champion, not the minions. Now Aurelia just got off a cheetah recall, and you can see her on the map TPing back to this mid wave, so Aurelia is TPing back with an extra item. So at this point we do have to be a little careful, but just because, guys, the lane is in a great position, you can actually still pressure the enemy champion by almost faking that you're getting your jungler to gank. This gives you a bit of time to just last hit for free, and it also gives you a bit of pressure in the lane, rather than just sitting back and letting the enemy champion do whatever they want. Now same thing again here, Aurelia is going to engage onto AKALI, but because she has her W and her E, Aurelia can't really do anything. So these melee champions, guys, because of your shroud in your E, which creates space from their engages, it is almost impossible for them to do anything. Now a few seconds later, Aurelia is going to go for another flawless duet. AKALI, because her E is back up, dodges this but gets a little too greedy here. If we look at Aurelia, she is level 4, so she's a little bit stronger just innately, and she also has her 4 passive stacks. Look at these red bars here. So when AKALI auto attacks and then E's onto Aurelia, it's really risky and she may well have died here. You would only take a risky trade like this if your jungler is ganking, so he does get a little bit lucky here. And I just want to point out on the map as well, guys, after this trade takes place and AKALI is super low, Aurelia probably knows that she's going to get ganked at some point because the lane is pushed up. So what she's going to do on the map, look, she's going to ask for assistance here. So AKALI therefore should be really aware that the enemy support is actually missing and the enemy jungler could well be looking to dive her here. So it's actually really risky staying in this situation as well. But thankfully, because she still has her flash, she's able to escape this echo gank, but does have to use her flash for it. Now eventually Aurelia is going to die to Talon and Maokai who are coming mid, so it kind of works out for AKALI, but this could have been very different. But what's about to happen, guys, in the next next 5 minutes is really going to showcase how good this champion is and the mechanics, the tips and tricks you need to apply in your games to absolutely pop off. So AKALI is going to base and return to lane here, guys, and you can see that the wave is resetting in the middle. Now when you're a solo laner and you are at level 5, you have to understand that the 6th minion wave, which is the second cannon wave, this one right here, you're going to hit level 6 off. So look in the bottom left. AKALI is 2 melee minions off level 6, and because the wave is resetting, really you want to damage the wave before the enemy champion does, so you can hit level 6 first. This is exactly what AKALI does, and 2 melee minions later she hits level 6, and then the combo here. She's going to ult through Aurelia, then she's going to auto attack and E. Then she's going to E back immediately to Aurelia, auto attack again, because whenever you damage an enemy champion with your abilities, you get your passive. Then she's going to Q the Aurelia because the Aurelia is standing still, ult through her and evade the Echo W as well. So clean, but this is really set up, guys, just because she hit level 6 first and she understood the second cannon wave equals that massive power spike. Now in any assassin, guys, this is where games can really get out of control. So how on earth does this top tier challenger player snowball this game so the lane is completely GG by about 10-15 minutes? Well, upon returning to lane, she is going to kill this Aurelia again. But it's very important before this kill actually takes place, if you look at this wave for me, this is pushing back into AKALI. So this is really good for her. So you never want to damage the minions more than you have to. This is why this player just last hits minions by auto attacking, and only when Aurelia moves up is she actually going to Q because there's such a high chance of it landing. Now what did we talk about before? When Aurelia is engaging, we use our W so she can't see you. So this buys time for the passive to wear off and also time for you to do damage with your Qs and your passive. Now thankfully, because Maokai comes mid, AKALI is going to save her E until Aurelia is right in front of her, and she lands this, and this ends up being another kill. But after this kill, guys, it's important to understand your back timers because we don't want to stay on the map for ages, right? We want to base, we want to buy, and then we want to kill them again. But here, AKALI shuts the minion wave, which is correct. This means Aurelia is going to miss these minions, but then she goes for a roam. Now who wants to tell me why? Well, the reason she threatens to go to the bot lane here is just because she has her ultimate. If she doesn't have this, the chances of actually getting a kill in the bot lane are really small. So as soon as she knows that her team have cleaned up in the bot lane and she does not need to be there, she's going to recall ASAP in this brush. This means that she does not waste any time on the map and she gets back to the mid lane ready to dominate again. I'm going to show you one more clip here, guys, that is actually a really underused concept, especially by players in lower elo, so I want you to pay attention here. Now this AKALI, we know she is stronger than Aurelia, but lots of people in lower elo think, oh, because you're stronger you have to get a kill. Well, not all the time. If you just force the enemy champion to back out of lane, you actually deny them so much gold in the form of minion waves, and you also get gold from the tower, and it allows you to roam around the map. So this AKALI, when Aurelia moves into range of her, she does a lot of damage to her with her Q and her passive, and all of a sudden she thinks, well, I can kill this person. Now she doesn't have her E, which is very important here, and this is the reason why she doesn't get the kill. But is there anything actually bad about chunking the Aurelia to 400 HP? Absolutely not. You force her out of lane, and it's so risky for her to stay just because of this elo anyway. Junglers and support players are going to roam mid because they know the enemy champion is very killable. So Aurelia, just because of this, has no presence on the map, even though AKALI may have killed her if she had her E, but this is still such a good situation, and because AKALI used her ultimate as soon as she could, she just gets more ultimates off in this game, which is always what you want. And a couple of minion waves later, you can see that Aurelia has based, and AKALI has 2 levels on her, and now has time to operate on the map, knowing that Aurelia is completely out of this game. So hopefully, guys, this showed you just how good this champion is into the right team composition, and if you did enjoy it, please leave a like down below, and also make sure to check out the GameLeap website in the description and comment section. We have the best challenger tier videos. We're talking guides, courses, VOD analyses of the best players in the world that will break down what you have to start doing to be able to play at that level. So get signed up, and until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Cheers.